Hello and welcome to today's episode of Velocity Kinetics. I'm just recording this introduction whilst I am thinking. Today, I'm talking about my Swace, and not in a year with sort of capacity. That was not amongst my smartest of ideas, switching the engine off when I did. It's not in the living with, well, kind of is in the living with a Swace capacity, but those videos are probably going to not be the 40-50 minute videos this year, next year, and so on, or as long as I've got it, because there's not really much more I can add apart from any costs I've incurred and what it's like. I mean, what it's like to drive as it's gotten older is still relevant, but most of it is just rehashing information that's in a previous part. But what I'm talking about today, even though I brought my Swace brand new, as someone who's owned it from new, this video is about what to look out for if you were to buy one used. Now, I know this is a bit biased in the sense of, not biased in the sense of it's my opinion versus someone else's, because I think this is all stuff that I've picked up from the owners forum and other places. It's biased in the sense of some of the damage I'm going to talk about that my car's had has been specific to me, but it doesn't mean other people haven't had it. It's just what I've experienced. So, made biased, single-lensed, however way you wish to describe it. So, yeah, what should you look out for when you're buying a used Swace? So, point number one to consider when you're buying one of these used, as obvious, has it got both keys? And are both keys intact? And by intact, I don't just mean has it got the, what was the Toyota bit on the back that's now blue Suzuki. Has it got, I don't know how well it comes up on here, has it got the release? Oh, that was not smart. I fumbled so badly that it's a different day, a different shot, and the clocks are changed. So what I was trying to do is, as you can see here, there is a little clip that moves to release. You see if it's still got this bit in, which is the metal key. It's a bit, in my hand, it feels a bit flexible. Well, bit as in I would have expected to feel firmer, but maybe it's because of just the fact it's just a tiny, tiny bit of metal. So obviously make sure it's there. Within there, within here, it's how you would prise the key apart to get in here. And it's very easy when prising it apart to basically make it so the bits that these buttons press into fall out. And I imagine it's easy to put it back together wrongly. Pretty sure I did put it back together wrongly the first time I did it. I don't know. Can't remember. It's been a while. But it's easy and very easy to mess up. And then once you've checked it, you would just slide the key. Slide the key back in, like so. So they're easy to split apart too far, as into the electronics behind this come off. But something else to watch out for, I don't know how well it will show up on this video, but just where my at the end of my fingernail, there is a little light that I've just made flash up. If that's flashing, that means the battery is low. So let's go for a walk around the car. So one thing to watch out for with these is here, they tend to lift very easily if the front bumper has been replaced. Now I've been told on this car, because on this car it was actually over here where that happened a lot, and there's so much glue and things in there. One day at work, after I'd been to get it fixed, the car park still smelled of solvents, and we're surprised we didn't have the local druggies, shall we say. Also, just keep an eye out for things like the plate fading, and make sure the plates front and rear match. Obviously, there are services like Car Vertical. That's not a plug, I'm not sponsored, but there are services like that to watch out for. And then around the back, got this. Obviously, make sure things. Whoa, my driveway's fallen to pieces. Make sure the lights work, which they do. Obviously, go with someone if you can. So, one thing to watch out for. I'm just gonna pop that so it doesn't lock itself again. Let's check the condition of the wiper blade. See what condition that's in. It does build up a lot of dirt down there. Obviously up here is also very hard to clean, so keep an eye out for things back there. But what I want to show on here very early, because I'll forget otherwise, I think in the future it's going to be bad for rust here. And as you can see, there's evidence of where Sarah has to park, all in the back. She has to park it under a tree, because it's either park it under a tree but have solid ground to walk on, or park it not under a tree, and then if it's raining, you're walking on soup. So, keep an eye out for rust and things around here. See how far I'd actually point the camera at it, rather than just looked. Keep an eye out for things like rust on both these bits here. See how clean it is. This isn't very clean at all. I have cleaned it a couple of times in my ownership, as in right in here, but that's something to keep an eye out for. See if the handles are still in place. I keep looking and not moving the damn camera. This is not going to go very well if I keep doing that. See if the handles are still intact. Give them a pull. See if they work. So if they do work, let's see if we can get that in. So the seat released. That's all good on that part. Let me just shove that back. Something else to keep an eye out for back here are these. Now, these have been the bane of my life. Not as in I kept breaking them or anything like that. They just kept coming out. So, make sure that you've actually got them with the car, and then check and see whether they've still got the plastic teeth to keep them in place. You do have back here as well a little cubby. See how that is working or not. It should be all smooth. You've got your anchor points back here, so you should be okay. Make sure you've still got the luggage guard with it and its tonneau, so the luggage guard sits in there, and then see if it'll come up, which it will hopefully, and then just check up there to see if it'll still go in. Then underneath, just a normal check for anything wet. Just check for anything wet underneath. It's quite a low footwell. They don't normally come with spare wheels. Potentially the previous owner you're buying from might have wanted to put a spare wheel in, because I know some people in the Swace Owners Forum I use on Facebook do have spare wheels fitted. Let me just put this floor back in properly. Also make sure the floor returns back properly so it's smooth back there and meets back there. I'm doing this while Sarah is out, so I'm doing as much as I can to not move things around. I think I am due to drive it tomorrow. Check here for your towing eye cover. They can pop off. Now, potentially on a black car like this, I didn't get that repainted. That is just the bare plastic for that, and after all this time it looks more or less blended in with the car. Granted, I think once it's cleaned it does stand out a tiny bit more, but see if it's there. And on the black, like I say, particularly on the black one, see if it matches, the paint matches. That's also potentially a point I can see breaking at some point in the future, so make sure it's got that, just as in through heavy use. Obviously, the other thing to watch out for, as you would do with any used car, see what the gas struts are like. Does it still popping itself up quite nicely? And then check to see if the camera is still there. And for any damage underneath, which we're clear for on this. Spoilers on these are very firm. I've never used the roof rails on this car, so I don't know what to look for on them, but I would suggest just make sure they're clean, they're secured, they're not rusty or damaged. In general, just got to watch out for damage. Something to watch out for on the wing mirrors is some of them have a tendency to over rotate, so go beyond go beyond where it's open and keep going round. That's not a it's a problem in the sense of it's not supposed to do that. It's not a problem as in, apparently it's a fairly simple pin to replace, but I don't know how simple the pin is to replace. So on the inside, obviously check your usual places for rust as the cars get older. They shouldn't be that rusty because I believe they're 2020 at the newest. Keep an eye out for the quality of the seat. They may have special seat covers on. There's no pocket on the back of the driver's seat, so if that's missing, well, it's not if it's missing. If you suddenly panic thinking it's been removed, no, it's just not there. Make sure the vents back here are still all in good shape. I've been testing a child seat that I got for nothing in the back of this car. If you're trying to really haggle, make sure it's still got the Isofix covers. They are super easy to remove like that. I don't know how easy you saw that, how that came up on camera, but it's that simple, which in turn means they're that easy to lose, at least in my opinion. Check for sagging headliners. They're not the easiest of things to replace. Apparently, someone on the Swace forum today, which on the day of recording this, the 28th of March, 28th? Yeah, 28th of March. He's had an absolute nightmare trying to get it down. Make sure that still comes down. Check for rubbish and damage in the cup holder, or money even, if you're of a mood. Obviously check the electronics, so see if the windows are all working. Now let us get inside the vehicle, shall we? I am going to have to sit in that seat because if I don't want to move that one in case I'm not driving it tomorrow. The joys of sharing a car with a manual seat. Now once you're inside, make sure the bolsters are still in good shape. They do obviously begin to sag, rip and tear over time. If you're fortunate enough to have carpets, that will probably have a permanent ruckling if they've still got the carpets. I was going to upgrade this to rubber mats from Toyota, but I never got round to it. And then when I could get round to it in terms of time, I didn't have the money. Now, this car has 2 USB slots. Check they work. Got this one here, which is the Android Auto one, and it charges your phone. There is another one. Oh, joy, Sarah. Thank you for the reward. There is another one in there, and I can't quite get to it. Oh, there it is. So there it is in there. That one's just for charging, and then you've got your cigarette lighter in there. So give it a quick shifty shimmy around. That should click down. I've done the classic again of looking at it and not pointing the camera at it. I'm really out of practice with this. So make sure that comes down nicely with a good thunk. Check for any cracks and anything in the fittings. There shouldn't be. I'd be quite surprised if they do manage to do so. Usual checks are things like the sun visors when I can find it, because I'm doing it backwards and blind. And see if the light still comes on. I should really be doing this in 0.5, shouldn't I? Look at that, Chris. You made your life so much easier. Why didn't you do that 10 minutes ago? Good question. So yeah, something to look out for. On these mats, on this side, it's got a toggle in, so make sure the toggle's still there, and if it's still got branded Swace, then it's still the Suzuki mat. Steering wheel, make sure it's not shiny. That one unfortunately is. So one of the other things to watch out for on these cars as you own them, over time, some people have reported, and I'm one of the people who have had the problem, window rattle. I don't know what the problem is. Sarah insists she can't hear it. I don't believe that, but she always has music on, whereas I sometimes don't, because I sometimes drive with no music on just to listen for new rattles and things, which is a handy piece of advice for anyone, really, or at least I think it is. So the way to test that is to pull the have the window partially down, give it a knock, and if you can hear sort of a sort of noise beyond just a normal knock, there's something there. See if the door cards are nicely in place, because again, if they've had to have the problem fixed or had the problem looked at, they'll have taken the door cards off to check and grease up the mechanisms. The problem with the window issue is it's not clear how it's fixed. So some people have just greased up the mechanisms, problem solved. Some people have been fortunate enough that the problem's just rectified itself, as in without greasing up the mechanisms, as in just time some reason it's just gone away. Some people have had to have entirely new mechanisms in place, put in. And I never got to the bottom of what happened on my Suzuki ticket, because the guy who used to run the service desk has left. So I don't think he left under very good terms. And given how pushy a lot of the management is in that dealership now, at least in the Suzuki side, when I've been in, they're not the same chatty chaps that they used to be. So maybe he left under a veil of something. But the steering wheel, like I say, make sure it's not shiny. The steering wheel in this car, why I'm sort of touching it off screen, I really badly need to clean it. It shouldn't be shiny, it should be matte. Also make sure the things, like just your normal checks, make sure the wing mirrors work. You can move the rear view mirror. It is auto dimming. Make sure the lights on the inside, front and back, for when you've got the door open, work. Turn on the car. See if the aircon and things work. In terms of servicing, obviously for me, now this is just my preference, this isn't the way to do it. Some people would say, well, you're a sucker, Chris, because you're paying more than you need to. And some people would say, yeah, that's actually not bad. And some people don't care. Look at the service history. So find the service book. So I have just chucked on some saliva a couple of minutes ago, and now I sound like I've probably been punched in the nuts. But check the service history. I personally prefer to see a full dealer service history. So my Volvo, up to the Honda service, has got a full dealer service history. However, I don't mind the Volvo having the Honda stamp in it, because it was at least dealt with by a dealer of cars, not just a general, yeah, we look at cars. Whilst technically John Banks do just look at all sorts of cars, it's I hope you can try and understand the logic I'm trying to impart, or at least the logic I'm following up here, that it's at least a dealer of something, therefore there is some form of accountability, even though they'll wipe their hands of it, wash their hands of it, in some aspects, like they sort of did with it at the end. Make sure the instruction book is there. So if I open up my glove box, something to watch out for on the glove box on these, when they've done the cabin filters, I've had it before where they haven't put the cabin filter back properly. Not cabin filter, sorry, I haven't put the drawer back in properly after doing the cabin filter, so then the glove box just dropped, and then it sort of kept coming out at a weird angle. Now my car didn't come with any fancy schmancy. Oh, it did come with it. I've just never put it back by the looks of things. I'll be damned. Part of the original stuff that I never actually looked at with the car when I got it. Make sure you got your service book, but also the manual for the Swace. It's a chonky boy. Make sure it's there. That's what, gotta be what, 500, 600? 528 pages in A5. So, be careful. The glove box on these isn't very big. It's not the biggest to live with at all. The Volvo one is like Hermione's handbag in Harry Potter, with how big and how far it seems to keep going. Something else to watch out for is windscreens. I've had one replacement windscreen on this. Make sure the correct one was fitted. I appreciate some people say, well, how do you know the correct one was fitted? If it's been done at Autoglass or somewhere reputable, it will have been done properly. But as with a lot of cars, most cars, I believe, that where they've got the black trim at the bottom on the glass, check for cracks and chips in there, because that's where the crack in this, or the chip, I don't know what happened. I only noticed it when it cracked. That's where it began, and I didn't see it, and in turn I couldn't stop it. Make sure the mechanisms on the seats all work, so make sure the runners are nice and lubricated and work. There's no power seats on these, particularly I don't believe they ever came with them, the early models and the final models. They did change name partway through the run, so it's still called a Swace, but then when I bought mine it was SZT and SZ5 were your trim levels. It became Motion and Plus and something else off the top of my head. I don't actually know what they changed it to. I preferred the SZ designation myself. Gearboxes on these, they're an ECVT, so it's slightly different to conventional CVT. A normal CVT is 2 props and a belt, and they change the gear ratio. ECVT has simulates a gear shift in it. They don't seem to have the same sort of need the same sort of gearbox service that a normal manual or normal automatic needs. The reason why I say that is when people have asked about it on the Swace forum, some people have gone, what are you talking about? You don't need to do it. And I suppose the trade-off is, when this came out, in the years before it, the traditional methods of servicing cars and the traditional intervals started to disappear. So it used to be 3,000 for your first check, then typically every 10 or every year. This was every 9, 2,000 first check, and then every 9,000 or every 12 months was its interval. However, my parents' Ford Fiesta, which I believe is a 2022 off the top of my head, with that was 25,000 miles before its first service. So something that might need to be rewired in the brain. I don't know if Suzuki/Toyota changed the intervals on the later models. Sorry, my camera keeps tipping forwards. Check the speakers, put the radio on, see if there's any buzz, like the speakers are about to die. Obviously, see if the engine's hot when you go and test drive it, and not because of it's good, that's super good. I didn't really think of this until was it Auto Alex video when he bought the Audi RS4. The car was warm despite wanting to hear it cold, so hear it cold start. See if the heated seats still work. So even if you're buying it in the middle of summer, turn them on, see if they work. Even if you don't like to use them, it's good to know that they are there and work. We'll check under the bonnet for a couple of things to point out in a minute. But for the most part with these, it is just your fairly standard common sense checks. Like I say, the only real things... Actually, there is one other thing we need to point out on the front when we get to it. But it's fairly similar to the issue on the back. That is a fantastic, in the worst way of meaning fantastic. That is a fantastic place for crud and general crap to collect. So, there we are. Also check if the lumbar still works, because on these cars it's an electric lumbar. That's not a problem as such. I'm not aware of any car that's been fitted with electric lumbar to have problems with it, but nonetheless, you don't want to buy something that's going to become expensive. Make sure that the screen works on the dashboard. So the map button on the car is very misleading. It doesn't come with sat nav. If it does, then someone's probably done a crafty remap somewhere, or custom software or what have you. Android Auto is good enough, in my opinion. Just make sure it responds to your inputs. And is it gonna let me? Will it let me do it? It's gonna let me do it. Right, hang on 2 seconds. So, gonna turn this on. Continue. It's gonna connect to nothing. So you'll be able to see what its last MPG and things were in here. And then if you touch into that, you can see trip information, see what sort of MPG it's getting. If they've wiped it, I'd have some concerns. But like I say, just make sure as you press the buttons, we've got a very quick changes on the screen. And like I say, it's still very moves around. The Wi-Fi I've never used. I don't know what it's for. As in, I don't know whether it turns the car into a hotspot or whether that's for the car to connect to the internet to then get updated. But it's very responsive. Let's say that won't work. If you press the map, it's going to say that on these models. It's not a problem. And then, like I say, just check, does everything work? We got things on. Yeah, that seems to be. And then, like I say, do your walk around. Check these work. See if air comes out. One thing to check is obviously if these move. Which, if they don't, then you might need to get a whole new unit. Reverse, like I say, check the reversing camera, chuck it into reverse, and see if that works. Also, try the brake hold, see if that will hold it on the brakes. So put it into drive, tap the accelerator, so the handbrake comes off, and then hit the brakes and see if it will hold. If it does, fantastic, you're brilliant. If it doesn't, then there is a problem. Now we need to get back over there to get to the bonnet release. Also, just make sure these buttons, whilst I'm looking at it, just make sure these buttons are still there. Check if they work. See whether how bad they are, how badly they've been treated, shall we say. And now let's turn that off. That brings up the full dashboard. So let's say we've got all the lights going out. No, we haven't, because it's not got anything on to kill the ignition. But you can see we've got things coming on. Check the fuel levels. Mileage is down on the bottom right, as you can probably see. So this is what, 43,668. So we're all good. Bring up most of the right things. A lot of those other lights will turn off once when I turn the engine on. But I'm not going to turn it on. So again, we'll press that one more time. Turn it off. It will do that trip summary thing, which I don't like, but it does it. Right, to the bonnet. Now, obviously, when you're doing your checks, is to obviously check the wipers, make sure they're all good, make sure things are where they're supposed to be. There's never been on this car, in my ownership, anything under there. Don't understand why not. I hope it hasn't just been taken off and they've forgotten to put it back, because that's going to be problematic. Standard check of the fluids. I have no idea how easy it is to replace things like that in this car. Hopefully I never find out whilst it's in my ownership. Make sure the catch releases. It goes this way. And we do have a little bit of patina on that. There are a couple of bits that have got a little bit more patina on under here than I would care for. But the bit that's going to be fun in the future is in here. Check that for, well, just check it for rust and stuff. Just seems massive design flaw in my opinion. And then all the way along, and then right under here is a particular bitch. I have no idea how best to clean it. I've tried paintbrushes, hoovers, you name it. I just cannot keep it. With where Sarah has to park, I cannot keep it any good. These are all 1.8 litre engines. The early ones are 120 brake. The later ones are 140. So yeah, just check it. You see what I mean by perhaps a little bit more patina than I would care for. But then again, this car has been through quite a bit in my ownership. And like I said, I'm not plugging Car Vertical, because there are other services. Car Vertical is the only one I know, and I can confirm works because I've used it. Use that. That you won't be buying a bad car if you pick up one of these. So let's just get this shut up and let's get back in the warm, because it's bloody cold out here. So I hope you've found that walk around and what to look for on the used ones useful. Obviously, take it for a test drive. Use your bum dyno, before you go, what the hell is that? I.e., drive it, see what it feels like. Does it feel like it's hesitating? Does it feel like it's pulling? Note with the CVT, it is going to sound like it is thrashing itself. But see if it does seem to work through some sort of order of gears and settle down into a low RPM. Does it bounce back and forth between battery and petrol quite nicely? Make sure you take it on a good stretch to find that out. One other thing to keep an eye out for is tyres. Now, I've always fitted the factory Continentals, or I say factory Continentals, because when I bought it, it was on Continentals. I don't know if that's something that dealership put on, whether it was a Suzuki thing, whether that's a Toyota thing. I only know what it came with. So make sure they all match. Some people have put some cheap and chatty Chinese ones on, Chinese brands, because they apparently go miles. Doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence myself, but I'd have to drive one and do an emergency stop in one to find out. I can vouch that the brakes are extremely strong, and because of the regenerative braking, the pads and discs should have a lot of meat on them. If it's a low mileage example and it's on new pads, you have to question what else is wrong with the car. It could be could be a fault with the driver. It could be that they are just very heavy on the brakes, which whilst I want to say, then that's not a problem. It is and it isn't, because if they've been like that, then how else has the car been treated during its time? But how long have I owned it this year? 5 years this year. I got it in 2021 to 20. Yeah, it'll be 5 years I've owned the car this year in October, if I still have it in October. Not planning to get rid of it anytime soon, or at least there's no foreseeable way for it to go, because money just isn't my friend at the moment. Keep an eye out on that. Let's say check the tyres, check the brakes are the let's say the point I was trying to make before I brain farted, as you can probably see, is I've had the car 5 years. It's still on its original brakes. My Civic had new brakes on it on the back, and it only had 35,000 miles on it when it was done. So, and this video has been planned for a while, because I recorded the intro to this when I still had the Civic. I believe the engine light was still on, or it wasn't long after it had gone off. But yeah, that was recorded a good couple of months ago, if not longer. Obviously, every car is going to be different. The white ones make sure the paint on the roof is still good, more because when I had a Baleno and I parked it under a tree all the time, I believe the tree was sick because it sometimes used to shed sap like it was raining, but that then did nearly destroy the paint on the spoiler on the Baleno. So if it's been parked under trees a lot, check the roof. In fact, any paint, but particularly the white ones, because at least from my experience, it was quite obvious. The black one hid it quite a lot more. Hopefully that doesn't mean it's done more damage to it when I had to park it under that same tree when I had the car, but still, or when I lived in that house with that car. But still, you won't go wrong with buying one of those if you choose to buy one. I will say they are low to the ground, but it's an estate. It's a big estate, and to put this into perspective, before people go, oh yeah, here's another anti-SUV rant. Again, I don't want to talk too much about it on this video, much like in the last video I didn't want to talk too much about it because I want to talk about that separately, about driving a JQ7. A JQ7 boot is 500 litres with the seats up, which is big. It's a big number. Swace is 587. The boot is visibly bigger. And whilst the salesman going, yeah, but you've got the vertical space. I'm like, if you're loading vertically, you can't see out the back, mate. It's a big car. You can get a lot in. I've managed to get a sofa bed in the back of it. My car, my Swace is serving us, and served us so far very, very well. I do love my Volvo, but if we were trading a car in, assuming I could get the same, it was the car we were buying had the same sort of options that the Volvo's got, it'll be my Volvo going, not the Swace, because I do like the Swace that much. I mean, like I say, I do love the Volvo, and I do love the Swace. To be honest, I'd be stood there looking like a YouTube thumbnail trying to work out what I want to do with it. Is it going to be any sort of future classic? God, no, it's not. Don't buy it thinking it's going to be any sort of investment along the way, because it isn't that type of car. It's a family estate that's been based off a family hatchback. That was ultimately a Toyota. I do think Suzuki was stupid to stop selling it, but we don't know, or at least I don't know, the contractual issues, shall we say, that they may have run into. It might have been a contract thing that they can only sell it for so long and had to do that, or because Suzuki are pushing the electric car now quite hard, maybe it didn't fit with what way they wanted to go. But interestingly, at least when I last looked at their site a month or so ago, they still did the A-Cross. So who knows? What I do want to add on the bumper front, because I'm not sure I explained it very well. Obviously, the bumper on mine kept lifting after it was replaced. Now, it turns out the connectors onto the body have millimetre tolerance, microns of tolerance. So if they're not in dead on, then they're not going to go on at all. Now, I don't know what the guy at Baker Bodycraft did to make it go on. Frankly, at the moment, I don't care, because it's still on and it's been driven hard, taken a few knocks along the way with potholes, etc., and it's still there. So I say, I'm not too bothered how he actually did it. I believe he had to sort of almost semi-take it off and put it back on again. The bumpers on that have got next to no tolerance. So if it's starting to lift, be cautious. You might be fine. It might just need a bit more brute force than you're willing to give it, which I think some of it was with me. I was not willing to give it masses of brute force, because I'd rather, if gave it masses of brute force and broke it more, then it's got to come out of my pocket. Whereas if using Baker Bodycraft as an example, and I apologise to them for using them as an example here, but if they gave it too much English, then it's on them to replace it. Maybe the coward's way out. Probably is the coward's way out in terms of car repairs. I don't know on that front, but there we go. Fuel economy, you'll be getting about 55-ish in real world driving. Sport mode, if you're going to drive it, driving it in all three modes. So eco mode, the throttle should feel quite heavy. The car should feel maybe a bit sluggish, but it will coast a lot when you lift off. In normal, throttle feels more like any other throttle in any other car I've driven, i.e. not super heavy, not super light, not vague, not a hair trigger throttle. And it whilst it does coast, it doesn't coast quite as hard. You can feel it doing regenerative braking. And then also try it in sport mode. The throttle is very pokey. It's a very snappy throttle at that point, but you can really feel the regenerative braking working. and probably stick it into sport, force it to do some regenerative braking, see if it is actually harvesting the energy from the braking. But I hope that helps people on their Swace journey if they're going to buy one. I've done loads of Swace content over the, well, loads, compared to a lot of people. I've done lots. Fantastic car, would highly recommend as a used car. I don't really want to part with it in any way, shape or form, not just from the George element, because I took him to a lot of vets appointments in that as well. Not his final ones, but I took him to a lot in that. And the car I picked him up in, actually, when we first got him, and Izzy. But it's just a nice, sorted estate. Lots of leg, well, not lots of leg room, but lots of, it'll eat miles. Let's put it that way. It'll eat miles on the motorway. And yes, it's not a driver's car. If you're wanting something to be a driver's car, probably a Volvo V60 is better to drive than that for thrashing it around corners. Or if you really want a driver's car, go to your usual culprits. Volkswagen, BMW, Audi, Mercedes. That's where you would go for that sort of thing, or Jaguar. But the big girl can run. It will answer when you throw it into a corner. And I've learned a lot about cornering and things with a bigger and longer car. So, yeah. Enjoy your buying journey with a Swace. If you do buy one, cherish it, because they're nice cars, and you'll always, at least as long as Toyota does the Corolla in its current shape, you'll always be able to get bits for it. Anyway, I've got steak to cook for my tea while Sarah is out, so I'm going to enjoy myself a nice steak and chips, and salad as well. It's a few chips, because I feel like I put too much weight back on recently. Whether I have or haven't is another question altogether. I just feel like I have. But anyway, drive safe, look after yourselves. I'll see you next time. Where is my knife of knifing?